listening to the Dudes and Dads podcast, a show dedicated to helping men be better dudes and dads by building community through meaningful conversation and storytelling. And now, here are your hosts, Joel DeMott and Andy Lehman.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 5, Generation Z, Part 2. Joel, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Andy. Super excited about this conversation that we're about ready to have. Part 2 with our these young guys we have here, Nolan, Tristan, and Corey back with us in the studio. The conversation, I think, one that needs to be had, especially hearing from our young men, early 20s, and just hearing how they're navigating life. You know, a lot of negativity gets thrown, I think, sometimes toward this generation or people in this age group. And I think what you hear here in this discussion with them is a real serious longing to make a difference, to make an impact, to learn from others, and to leave a legacy that really is important and means something. So we're going to just this episode really moves to a question of how these guys are navigating the questions of why they're doing what they're doing and the kind of people they're surrounding themselves with to help navigate big questions with regard to vocational direction and things like that. So what you'll find is I think just some solid insights on what they're looking for from the older generation, and whether it be potential employers, really any other person that's a little bit farther down the road, and hopefully gives us some direction how we can be of help to them as well, because they've got a lot to offer us for sure.
Welcome back to the Part 2 of the Generation Z, Dudes of the Square Table. Joel, will you introduce our guests, please?
Absolutely. While I walk through a misty valley. That's what I see. I see horses. I see mist. I see something very epic. It's almost like...
This episode is epic.
It is an epic episode, absolutely. This is really taking me great places. I just want to close my eyes and embrace this moment. We have our guest here at Dudes of the Square Table, Mr. Nolan Rhodes, who is a senior at Indiana University of South Bend, studying marketing and advertising. Next to him, Mr. Tristan Clark, who is a junior studying social studies education, secondary ed at Indiana University of South Bend. And then our good friend Corey, who is, he's a working man here in the area and has completed a program at Rosedale Bible College and is now... He's actually working. He's actually working.
This is part 2, like we mentioned. If you haven't heard part 1 of this, Generation Z, we recommend that you go back and check that out because it was epic. It was an hour long of just digging into what makes Generation Z, and what makes them tick. And we felt like that was not enough, 1 hour, but we didn't want to tie you up for more than 1 hour. We promised you under 1 hour when we started the show. So we wanted to keep our promise to you, so we decided to break it into 2 episodes. So this is part 2 of that.
Yeah, there's just so much goodness in all of this. I can barely handle it. And I gotta say, I mean, the first time around, I do feel like, you know, our goal is with all of our guests, and we say this, is that we do hope that we're coming here and it just feels like we're sitting on the couch having a conversation. And that first time around, I very much feel like I'm hearing like really helpful, honest answers from you guys. And so thank you for that. Thank you for your transparency and honesty. And so we want to continue that on this time around. And so we're going to go to basically we're going to spend this time diving into some specific questions with regard to why you guys have chosen the direction that you're going vocationally, or what you're pursuing after, and specifically want to talk about mentorship and what it looks like, or what it might look like, what it has looked like for people who are maybe a little bit farther down the road than you guys, to come alongside of you, to sort of pour into you, to help give that direction. our last episode, what I heard a lot was, what I was hearing from you guys was there was this social connectivity with your friends that you really valued and that you pursued, you gave a lot of energy to. But when it came to connecting with others around the question of how you were choosing your future vocation, kind of what your calling and gifts were and what you're going to give your energy to vocationally, you're navigating a lot of that by yourself. And my conviction is that that should not be the case. In fact, in certain professions historically, when we apprenticeships, mentorships, things like that were key, were crucial and assumed. And so I'm just wondering, we want to dive into that question, what that would look like, what a different way forward, and as far as you guys making those big decisions. So I'm going to start with Nolan. So as we mentioned before, Nolan is a senior studying marketing and advertising, and I happen to know because I caught, shall we say, we'll call it a rant. I caught a rant from Nolan not too long ago. So Nolan's been in the process. You've been in the process of applying for these internships at marketing and advertising agencies, and I'd just like you to summarize what the application process to get an internship at these places has been like, because this internship it's required for you to complete your degree, number one.
Yep. Number
two, an internship is the foot in the door to actually get into the thing that you want to do. So it's vital in that regard too. What has your experience been like so far in the internship application process?
I'm going to be super positive and say great personal growth came about.
Yep.
No, it really did, but it's a struggle too. There's internships out there, but they're very difficult to get into because there's so little, very, very selective. So the interview process. So usually starts out by obviously finding the internship, usually through the internet or a advertising career fair or something like that. And then you go through the whole application process, name, address, jobs that you've done, pretty much putting your resume on the application digitally, uploading your resume, cover letter, projects that you've done that you want them to see. And then if they like you, they'll call you for an webcam online interview. Usually it is set up as a module, so you don't know the questions before. I'll highlight this at the beginning. You click start. You have 30 seconds to read the question, a minute and 30 seconds to answer the question as a webcam is on you. You usually go through 6 of those, and then you've got one of the interviews I had 4 fill-in-the-blank questions afterwards. So intense, you got to be prepared. Know your stuff.
So this is like standard practice. I mean, you're seeing this regularly, this practice, this sort of forum.
Yeah, especially in the larger ad agencies.
Okay.
And I've heard it for other industries as well. That's how interviewing is going. That's like the first interview. And then you've got maybe a phone screening, and then some want you in person, but they don't want to pay for you to go. So
right.
Usually
So you're
just
not
phone.
in person until maybe third round.
Maybe third if they want it.
If they want it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it sounds like you're actually interviewing for a job, not just an internship. I mean, that's what I would expect from a job.
Correct.
Not an internship.
Yeah, right. Are these internships paid?
Yeah, most of them are paid. Yeah, so that's a plus.
That is a plus.
Big plus.
Do you,
But also, let me add, living cost is not usually included in that, so you're paying like $1,000 in city to live. in an
right,
apartment,
because a
but-
lot of these, as we might imagine in your particular case, marketing ad agencies are in larger metropolitan areas.
Yeah, you're not gonna find one really, a really good one here
Right.
in Midwest, but
Yeah. So maybe you're in Chicago.
yeah,
Maybe. Not in Detroit.
no.
What's that?
So
We love you, Detroit.
We love you, Detroit.
You know that I am a Detroit fan, and you know the 313 has a special place in my heart. But ad agencies, although by the way, have you seen the show Detroiters?
I have not, no.
So it is a show about two guys running an ad agency in Detroit. You should check it out.
I'm definitely going to check it
It's
out.
worth it's absolutely worth your time. Okay. So you're going through these modules, you're doing this process, you're basically interviewing for a job but for an internship. The internship lasts usually how long?
So they usually start at the beginning of June and like August 13th, right before you go back to school.
Gotcha. So
Yep.
that's your summer.
Yep.
And are you going to likely have another job on top of this to like make it during this internship process?
If time allows, yes. Maybe a barista server on the weekend. Who
Mhm.
knows? But we got to make some money to
Right.
live there.
Right.
And not in a cardboard box,
Right.
preferably.
Under the bridge,
Or under a bridge.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
playing Dutch Blitz.
Wow, a lot of references there. So it's a hustle.
It is. It really is, yeah.
How responsive are people to you when you're applying for these internships? Tell me about the communication process back and forth. Get real with me, Nolan. Don't you dare lie to me. I can see into your soul.
So some of them have been great. Others, not so great. And I know they're super busy because they're usually traveling all over, finding people for jobs. And one recruiter even told me that they're like, no offense, but like you trying to find an internship's not like one of our biggest priorities. Like we're trying to hire people to fill like top management positions. So more than likely you're going to get lost in all that shuffle. And then I was like, that is understandable, but I hate that a lot.
Super
because
super disheartening.
Yeah.
Well, and I know for being where I work, like we're going to be doing internships this summer, and again, it's the same type of thing for us. We're like, we have to get these people in here and like give them our junk that we don't really want to do. I mean, that's our mentality. So like, I can completely on the other side of that, I can see where that's super frustrating for you looking for an internship.
Yeah. So that is frustrating because you put yourself out so much, and you do give a lot of effort with those follow-up emails, thank you letters. Like you may have 7 or 8 like internship possibilities like going on at one time, and you're communicating back and forth as much as you can. Then you get these offers from some, but you can't really accept them until you have all the other offers. So then you gotta, but like I said, great time for growth.
Yeah, great time. Fantastic positive spin. I appreciate that
Yeah.
so much about you, Nolan. Because here's what Nolan isn't saying is that it is massively frustrating, and you feel like you're getting the runaround a lot of times, and you're just trying to find a place to gain traction to learn some things. But for these companies that are offering internships, it's a little murky as to why they're offering them.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the sense that they're offering because they want to educate the upcoming generation of marketing and advertising professionals.
Right. There's been a few that have, I guess there's been a few that say that it's a really great learning experience. And then they always say, this could become a full-time job afterwards if it works out well. But it's usually like if it works out well. But,
Yeah. So that's, the deal is that number one, you are trying to fulfill just your educational obligation to have this internship.
For sure.
And I'm this is from what I'm remembering. Does the organization that gives you the internship and provides it for you does supply some feedback to your school?
Yeah, they would. Yeah. They'll provide documentation that it'll count for internship credit. Most of all, though, like, truthfully, I just want to learn. Like, I just want to have some experience in the ad industry because that's what I'm interested in. And, like, internship is a great way to get your foot in the door, kind of figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that something comes through here real soon, like maybe by tomorrow. Recruiters, if you're listening.
Nolan Rhodes at LinkedIn. I gotta get on my LinkedIn. This has got me nervous now. Not that I'm looking for a job, but I just feel like I have obligation that my LinkedIn profile needs to get.
Maybe I'm old, but I don't have a LinkedIn profile.
Chester T. Lehman. Oh.
LinkedIn, Chester T. Lehman.
If there's a Chester T. Lehman out there,
I'm sorry.
they're going to be so confused.
Right.
Like, he's not an IT professional at all. Anyway. Yeah. So, again, I mean, Nolan, in your instance, like, some people alongside to help you. Man, if we just had some professional business people that knew about marketing, that just wanted to be like, I want to give you real life experience. I want to have conversation with you. I want to, like, you would value all of that.
Oh, hands down.
Eat
yeah.
it up.
If someone came up to me tonight and said, hey, I want to help you out in this process, I'll be like, all right, here's my phone number, email, blah,
Absolutely.
blah, blah, contact me. Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
Yep.
So we need more people like that. I don't know how we make that happen, but it needs to happen. Nevertheless, absolutely. Let's see. We're gonna go around the table here, right over to Tristan Clark. So Tristan, you have subjected yourself to the black hole that is public education. I'm kidding, sort of kidding.
Not really.
So Tristan, you've got a couple of different things. Number one, I mean, you're going to social studies, secondary ed, to be with high school students, to teach and educate high school students, and you also have a love for coaching too. So there's that part too, which from my experience, I never met a social studies teacher in high school that didn't coach.
Right.
Because if you can't do, you coach, right? Like that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard as well. And if you can't coach, you teach gym. Sorry, I'm kidding, gym teachers. That's not true either. I appreciate all of you. You are educators and you are valuable.
For real.
So Tristan, for real. Tristan, you're going into education at a time where it seems like a hard sell. There's, for reasons that Nolan mentioned last time around, a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of regulations, a lot of it feels constrained. My mother was an educator, still is in the classroom to this day, and a lot has changed over the course where teachers were teaching and now there's all this added pressure and added responsibilities and things going on. And yet, here you are, sticking to it so far. And not to say that you're not exploring other avenues and things, but you were drawn to this in the process. How did you get there? What things were formative in helping you get where you are, and and who are you looking to, who are you surrounding yourself with at this point to help figure out what in the world it is that you're doing?
Yeah, loaded question. So numerous things drew me to teaching, or at least working with kids. As you said, coaching was pretty big into that. I mean, I played sports in high school, had a lot of coaches, coaching experiences. Some of my coaches weren't the greatest. Other coaches had a huge impact on my life. And so,
do they all teach social studies?
One of them did.
Oh,
a couple
okay.
of them that did. Oh, gosh.
Anyway, sorry, go on. I just have this theory. Anyway, go on.
And so seeing how that was able to impact my life, one of my biggest things is I just want to have a positive influence in kids' lives. And something, and this is just coming from my own personal experience with after high school, how did I try and navigate trying to go where I wanted to go? I felt like I didn't get a whole lot out of high school in terms of helping me figure out what is my passion, what do I want to pursue. And so that's kind of why I wanted to get into the classroom, is because I wanted to be one of those voices that told kids, hey, like, there's no pressure to, try and stick to the status quo. Like, if you don't know what let me restart. If you don't know what you want to do and you feel pressure to go to college, like, you don't have to do that. I mean, get internships, get jobs, kind of work around. And so, yeah, that's kind of one of the first steps, at least, is having that positive influence in those kids' lives. Yeah. Following that, then, what kind of pushed me into that, and how have I kind of stuck with it? Well, one of the things that really solidified that was my internship in youth ministry, and kind of talked about that in the last episode. But really important in helping me figure out, is this something I want to do? Because, of course, internships are only temporary, and it helps when they're paid, but it's really just a time to explore, like, okay, I'm going to immerse myself in this career path, per se, and see if this is something that I really want to try out. So that really helped me solidify that decision to pursue something with kids, whether it was teaching or ministry or something at the time.
And I look at your dynamic where you were, and last time around I was like kind of tallying up like the number of things you tried. I was trying to like put a timeline on. You went a few different directions pretty quickly, and you were willing to course correct pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now, in our generation, there's this fear of like, dude, my resume is gonna look like a hot mess. I was there 6 months, 6 months, 3, whatever. I am of the opinion now it doesn't matter. I just am of the opinion you're going to try a bunch of things, but when something sticks, you're going to go with it, right? So there can be this anxiety around like, even if I hate this and it doesn't seem good, I need to at least be at this for so long that when I have to, put it on something that the next hiring people are not going to be like, man, this guy can't get his act together. Yeah, moves around a whole lot. I think that's changing considerably. It doesn't seem to be the concern. Effectively, though, Tristan, you took a gap year. That's what you did.
Year and a half, yeah.
Right? What do you think about that? Like what if you could? And we're not like saying if you could live life over again or whatever, but if it was Tristan graduates high school, Tristan has a year to not go to school and to figure some things out, and then to make that next decision, is that a route that you would have taken?
Absolutely. Hindsight's 20/20, and I would have absolutely done it. I think just between kind of this pressure that I put on myself, and maybe from what kind of the norm for the kids graduating in my class was to go do was college afterwards. It kind of swayed me into doing something that, looking back, I wasn't really positive. I wasn't really sure that I wanted to do it, and I guess you can make the argument too that some people go to school and it's kind of an exploratory process. They, spend their first semester or year in college kind of figuring it out. And for me, that just wasn't really something I wanted to do. I saw it as me spending money to try and figure out something that I wanted to do, when instead, if I just worked and actually got real life experience, that would kind of help funnel me into where, my true passion was and what I wanted to do.
Which I think is smart. I mean, again, like if you're going to college and you don't really know what you're doing, like, again, that's a huge waste of money. And that was smart, I think, for you to do that and experience what you wanted. Because if you did that and went to college, you still would have ended up doing a bunch of different things and, wasted a bunch of money and still been in the same position you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in paying $25,000 plus for a year when I could get a bus ticket and drive around, meet some people, have some conversations, whatever. Especially the fact that all of you have said that your parents were okay to let you live on their couch for a while, or what, or whatever. I've seen, this will sound strange, I've seen where two of the three of you live, and you're better off than just a couch in the basement. So. Nicer than my own bedroom. I don't really, gosh. Anyway, it's because my kids ruin everything. I'm bitter. Sorry. It goes dark places quickly when they're invading my bedroom. They're ruining my bedroom, ruining my house, and all of you are just sleeping in comfort in your own special rooms with. Sorry. Where are we? What happened? Anyway, so Tristan, so you have this gap year, basically internship opportunity. Now, and the one thing, because you and I did this together, I just know in my own mind, the one thing that was like really, really important to me was like, I'm gonna ask regular questions. Okay, I'm gonna ask, how are you experiencing this? What are you noticing? What connects with you? There would be numerous times when we would inevitably, when we were kind of like doing real stuff, and my thing was usually, okay, we're going to hit the pause button, do a Ministry 101 moment here, where it was like we would experience things together in the doing of what we were doing, and I would say, okay, so here's how we're experiencing this now. Here's the thing behind that, under it, and here's how it will impact other stuff. That's the part for me. I wish I had more of the greater context of why do we do the things that we do? Why do we not do the things that we do? And even as I go on farther, and Tristan, if you, those of you in education, what is the thing known as what is known as null curriculum? And these are, so I love the squinty eyes, which means they haven't taught me that in school yet. Null curriculum is the things that you learn from a particular place by what is not said. So it's a particular kind of curriculum. It's an accidental curriculum. And it's like, well, we don't talk about those things here. Oh, you don't? Well, I learned something about you then by the fact that you don't, whatever it is that you don't get into or not valuing. And I personally, for me, as a leader, want to eliminate as much null curriculum, so to speak, as possible, and to go to those places. And I think that's what mentorships and internships can look like, should look like. I think that's a responsibility. I mean, just my opinion. It's the responsibility of the employer. If they're going to offer a program as an internship, a mentorship, whatever, it can't just be that in name. You
need to actually have a mentor, have a mentor, someone sit with you, teach you those things.
Absolutely, because we need life-on-life experience here. That's really important. So you did this gap year, and it my impression is that you went in with a lot more clarity, right? And all it took was, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it took 18 months of you going a little bit off track from what was anticipated to gaining that clarity. And in the grand scheme of life, and this is old Joel talking, 18 months for that kind of clarity, why not?
Yeah, it's worth it.
Why not? Now, yes, your buddies will be graduating a year ahead of you or whatever, and
so what?
So what?
Yeah.
So what? But there's value. So do you guys? So what I'm wondering about, do you guys discuss in education classes how tough education is right now? Does this come up in conversation?
With the current classes that I've taken, not yet, but it's been kind of this. I mean, it's kind of like a cloud above all the classes. We all know it's there, and it's kind of touched on every once in a while, but hasn't been addressed specifically.
Because they're trying not to talk you out of the program until you're going to get in your senior year in student teaching, and you're going to come back and be like, why?
Why didn't they tell me that?
What have you done? Can I just say I'm super excited for your student teaching experience, and by super excited, because I'm just going to ask you regularly. So how's that going? Because again, people listening, education, like, vitally important, super important. Teachers are having to do more than they've ever done. Their parent, their counselor, their educator, their going down the list. Like, it's the real deal, and they are routinely underpaid. They are. My wife works with several ex-teachers who are not that old. And
it's kind of like when we were talking about earlier in the profession of, like, the concrete person or whatever. Like, they don't last very long for a reason. Right.
It's funny to me that these kind of skilled and socially valued professions now, we're seeing dropout rates that we haven't seen before. And, not too long ago, the state of Indiana offered, like, an exploratory committee on why, to talk about it like an exercise and not getting the point. He was like, why can't we get more teachers? And it's like, hello? But yet you're choosing to do it in the face of all of that, praying to God that policy and culture and everything else changes at some point. There's going to have to be a course correction somehow.
Yep.
Right? But you're sticking with it. Do you anticipate having other people, mentors, and things alongside of you moving forward toward the completion of your degree and entering into the workforce? Do you anticipate those relationships happening apart from your student teaching experience?
as far as me reaching out for those, or okay, yes, I just from my personal experience with you and having you around, has really helped me kind of navigate life, figure out decisions, things like that. And I really value those relationships with older people who have experiences, especially in something that you're looking at, or a career path or whatever it is. And so, yes, and I have some younger friends who are already in education and talk to them a little bit, but I haven't really talked to anyone who's in social studies secondary education. So I'm definitely looking forward to, as I continue to go through IUSB, finding those connections, building those connections, because for me to be able to look to someone who already has that experience and ask them questions and figure out, how do you navigate through this part, or, hey, I'm struggling, like, how did you get through this, is really, it's just important to me. I've seen how those relationships in my church family and even in like my extended family have helped me in those situations. So.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be super valuable to you, and I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to your next for both selfish reasons and for reasons for your own development. I'm looking forward to the next steps that you're gonna be taking. It's cool. It's a noble thing. Educators, teachers, we love you. We value you. I look to the teachers that my kids have, and they're amazing people.
Mine too, but mine are homeschooled.
Yeah,
so
well,
my wife is amazing.
Homeschool high five. So.
One thing I would like to add
Yeah.
to that too, and in the face of not making a lot of money, that's honestly been one of those things that hasn't been that important to me. And it's
Yep.
really me looking at, what do I want to do with my life? Well, I want to be a positive influence, have a positive impact on those kids that, one, either do come from good families or don't come from good families. I mean, teachers in certain situations to certain students are, like that figure, like that parent figure to students. And
That's
so
right.
for me to be available, to open myself up and my life up to them and say, hey, like, if you need things, like, I'm here for you, that really outweighs that, well, I'm not going to make that much money. And so just chasing after that passion and knowing that I can potentially have a positive influence on other kids is really just kind of that driving motivation behind that. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Corey, you're up next. So, what does mentorship look like for you? So, just think in terms of, for you that, you're in college for a year, and, as you've mentioned previously, the school part, not thrilling, but the relationships, that experience still, the friendships, all that was something that you appreciated. What have mentorships or people alongside of you, what does that look like for you? Kind of ongoing, so past, present, and hopefully in the future, what are you foreseeing? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, mentorship. Okay, so I mentioned in the last episode the camp that I've done the last few years. And like I talked about, youth ministry is a goal at some point. And so with that camp it's called Bible Memory Camp. You've maybe heard of it.
It's a big deal around here. Yeah, well, it's actually national too. But yes, okay.
Yeah.
So,
great camp. I went there as a camper, and then decided, hey, I should probably try to help out with that. And so got the chance to do that. And in doing that, one of the people that I traveled with that camp, her name was Steph. Steph, if you're listening, hi.
Hi, Steph.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. She has done camp forever. So she was very experienced, and I was kind of coming up into her position kind of in what I was doing. And so for those 3 years that I traveled with camp, I got to just kind of work under her and just learn a ton from her. And it was really cool in those times, because there was a lot of times when camp would have been pretty difficult if she wasn't there as that leader above me, which was really cool, because I got to grow and learn a lot through those times. So that was pretty neat. Now I'm out of that season. I'm out of camp, and I said before, I've worked with youth groups at my church,
And so I've been meeting with my pastor a little bit. We're kind of wanting to make that a little bit more consistent, I think. But I think a goal of ours is to meet, I don't know, maybe once every couple weeks or so, and just really talk about things, see how things are going, and see where we can move on. And I really appreciated him just reaching out to me and being like, hey, you want to go grab lunch sometime? And he just sits and we just sit and talk. And honestly, like, we don't even talk about what we're supposed to be talking about for most of the time.
Yeah.
So for you, it looks more like mentorship, looks more like a friendship. Where,
Yeah.
like for Nolan and Tristan, it's going to look more, well, especially for like Nolan, it's going to look more like an official, like you have this job. Whereas for you, it's more of like a offload of knowledge because I really care about you and really want to see you succeed in what you're doing, and or just by happenstance, where with stuff that was you were working with her, but so you transfer knowledge like that as opposed to like an official like shake hands, you have a job type of a thing.
Yeah, it's very much that way where I can learn from them, they can feed into me, and along the way we can grow together and draw closer in that way, and it's really neat.
Yeah, and the benefit of someone reaching out to you and saying, I see these things in you, and I want to encourage, I want to encourage those things. I mean, those are powerful words for any young person, for an older person to come alongside and say, I see this in you. I notice gifts. I see these sort of things, and I want to make sure that you follow after those things. I mean, that's a vital and important thing. My guess is that you guys have had plenty of self-doubt along the way, and that is something that is going to, whether it's a late night paper that you're working on that you just feel is tanking quick, or you feel stuck in something, and you're like, is this going to be the rest of my life? Am I, or whatever the case might be, someone just coming alongside with that word, paying attention. And that's part of this conversation tonight, is that I honestly hope anybody that's listening is just going to ask the question, who are the college students, the young 20-somethings, whatever, who are figuring some important things out in life? Who are they that I know in my life that I can just say, I notice these things about you, I see them, they're valuable, please know that. And then the next other potential thing is, and if you are someone who is experienced in the area that they're studying, that they're interested in, that they're going after, is just carve out some time. I mean, I know I can guarantee that all three of you, and I know your peers, your friends would be the same way. If someone with some things to share with you came alongside and said, how about lunch? Let's spend an hour. It's like, yes, absolutely, in a minute. So, just let's be proactive, let's reach out, let's do that sort of thing, because it's an investment that is worth it and is meaningful.
Well, and I think, I mean, as older generations, I mean, I think it's super important to pass our knowledge and things down to the younger generation. I mean, man, I'm starting to feel old now as I'm saying it as the older generation, but I mean, I don't feel like I'm that much older than you guys, but I am. I mean, honestly, but even older than me, like, I've always appreciated, like, when people could look into my life and pass their wisdom down. And, like, I've always appreciated that, for pastors and people who were willing to invest in me and show me things, and as well as, like, when I'm doing my job too, I've always enjoyed people that have always done it have been able to teach me what they know. And so, like, I think it's important to have that where we're teaching, the younger generation. I mean, and you guys may not do it the same as we're doing, but I think that there's that knowledge transfer that at least you get an idea of the history. I mean, I think history is important to, and so you have that history and the knowledge that us older generation knows.
Yeah. And my encouragement to you guys would be, and this is something that I think that I've tried to go after, is recognizing that you can gather for yourself specific mentors for specific things. So I have a mentor who, so as I do professional coaching, I have a mentor who is a really, really gifted coach and has been doing it for a long time. And, I talk to him maybe just a couple times a year, quite honestly. But when I do, like I've got my questions ready, and I'm looking to, I've got another mentor who served as the CEO of a camp for 29 years. Learned a lot of things, but is really relationally gifted, and he has routinely made massive amounts of time regularly. I see him when the season allows, every 2 to 3 weeks. I've got another guy who was a professor of mine, who when I'm like dealing with like curriculum or policy or what's the standard practice for these hiring things like that, I can make a phone call or an email to him, at any time. And so these different areas of my career and personal development, I just recognize that there's not a one size fits all, or not a one person that's going to catch all of it, but it's like, okay, divide my life up into sort of these arenas of experience and knowledge that I need, and then who do I see doing the thing that I want to do well, and then just ask the question, will you talk with me about it? Most people, when they're asked, myself included, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, someone comes to Andy or myself and says, hey, I'm interested in this thing. I'm trying to figure it out, trying to discern. Would you, yes, please, let me give my time, let me give my life to this, because that's worthwhile. Right. And so, developing this sort of constellation of mentors, to use that term, is meaningful and helpful. And honestly, get 5, get 10 of them, and work. And by the way, as you do over time, like a lot of the opportunities that I've been offered are from those relationships, even like the less formal ones, where I'm on people's radar. And so when an opportunity comes up, it's like so strange that I'm one of the people they think of, or have thought of in the past, of like, this would be a good person,
fit,
right? So it's kind of more this, like, you've already interviewed without having to interview, which is a thing. So, guys, I just appreciate you guys sharing life here with us. Here's the deal. We've hit it out. I feel like we've hit it out of the park every time we do something new. Now we're 5 episodes, and so we're not too far in to really like make massive judgment calls about the success of our new venture. But it's been really, really good. This first panel discussion, I appreciate you guys so much. We're definitely going to have you back. We're going to find new and exciting things to talk about.
And the Dudes of the Square Table is going to be something ongoing, rotating different people in and things like that. Because we love the knowledge transfer that you're entering and you're mentoring us too.
Yes, it's reverse mentoring is what's going on. Right. I've made several mental notes of things that I need to pay attention to that you guys have shared here. That's like I can dial some things in my own perspective as well. But gosh, guys, Generation Z, it's important. They are a sizable. They are the largest demographic ever. And they are here to stay. They're not going away. And so we just want to help empower you guys to be aware of, at least we have a small sample size, but we think a meaningful sample size here, just to say be aware of where they are in life, what's going on, what's important to them, and reach out, be helpful. Let's serve each other well, and provide this upcoming generation with what they need to succeed. Well, Andy,
it's been a great episode.
It's been another great time together. We want to thank our guests, Nolan. Yes.
Well, yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, we want to thank our guests, Nolan Rose, Tristan Clark, and Corey Esch, for joining us. Their contact info will be plastered all over our social media, so you can get in touch with them, friend them, ask them questions, offer them internships. Whatever you need. And
we would love to hear your feedback on this show or any other ones. Go ahead and dudesanddadspodcast@gmail.com. We have a voicemail line which can be found on our Facebook and also our website, dudesanddadspodcast.com. Share us, like us, do all that fun stuff so get the word out about our podcast. Thanks, guys. We love you.
Grace and peace.